While we all want to believe that titles in pro wrestling mean something, well, sometimes they just don't, especially in WWE. There's an argument to be had that in the modern day, WWE belts mean less than ever, especially when we have two world champions. That is just stupid. How can we have two? Nonsense. Anyway, this has created quite an interesting scenario because it really does come down to who is holding gold as opposed to anyone just being handed a championship. For example, if the great Khali came back tomorrow and won the Universal strap, ain't no one thinking it's worth a damn all of a sudden. The big man just can't pull it off. Some, however, do have this power. I'm Simon from What Culture, and this is 8 wrestlers who restored the value of championships. Number 8, The New Day. For a long time, the WWE treated their tag team division like it didn't matter. After the wonderful Edge and Christian Hardy's-Dudley's rivalry in the early 2000s, where these guys would literally put their lives on the line just to win the titles, it fell through the floor and no one seemed to give a damn. Because of this, reigns also became meaningless as the belts were handed around like sweets, and before long no one cared at all. This was until The New Day came along. Aside from treating the championships like they meant something and going out of their way to talk about how important they were, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods and Big E went on a massive run with the belts, breaking records in the process. They defeated everybody during their 483-day reign and continued to shout about what a big deal this was, and in the process, completely rejuvenated what being a tag team champion was all about. What a surprise. Number 7, Lita. The ups and downs for women's wrestling throughout WWE history is just bizarre. From genuine highlights such as Bull Nakano and Alundra Blaze to all that stuff that happened during the Attitude Era, good grief, it's been the best and worst of what a company can do. Recently it's been awesome and that's been a huge tick in the plus box, but there were still flashes during the early 2000s, especially when Lita won the Women's Championship around that time. Taking it off Stephanie McMahon of all people, who held it for 146 days, Lita instantly re-established the belt's credibility and transformed it from a prop to something that we could actually care about. It didn't hurt that she was super popular and that she went on to have really good matches too. And she was actually a wrestler. All of this did wonders for the title itself. Number 6, John Cena. When John Cena won the US title in 2015, only good things were going to come off the back of it. It sucked that it all started with the destruction of Rusev, but this was still the top guy in the company holding what many saw as a mid-carder title. It was in a prime position to take a massive step up, which it did. Not only did Cena harp on about the history of the US Championship and how proud he was to have it, he treated it like a world title, and soon that's how the fans saw it as well. The icing on the cake was the US title open challenge that allowed him to defend his new prize, but it also meant he could put on great matches week in and week out. That continued to elevate the belt, and seeing Cena go at it with the likes of Dean Ambrose, Wade Barrett, Cesaro, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens was wonderful. Cena's star power absolutely worked in the championship's favour here, and it's something WWE should do more often. Number 5, Dean Malenko. ECW's television title served as the company's second most important prize for ages, and this was the case for a long time. Until it hit a crushing low in 1994 when Jason Knight, who's regarded as one of the worst wrestlers in ECW history, managed to get his hands on it. To say it damaged things would be an understatement. While it would be Too Cold Scorpio who relieved him of it, it was Dean Malenko that went to work on restoring it to former glories. Having incredible bouts with the likes of Scorpio and Taz, the belt was all of a sudden relevant again, and this was continued further when RVD basically made his whole ECW career about it. It was Malenko that made the save at first though. Thank goodness he did. Number 4, Ric Flair. While the NWA version of the US title was never really in a bad way, the day Ric Flair won it was the day it took a huge step up to the big time. The likes of Harley Race, Ricky Steamboat and Johnny Valentine had already ensured it had some legitimacy, but that was nothing compared to the love and care the Nature Boy bestowed upon it. Winning it in 1977 and going on to have 6 reigns with the gold, there's a very solid argument that Flair is the greatest US champ in history, which is pretty good, because a lot of people say the same thing when we're talking about the world title too. Gotta love Ric Flair. Always respecting and admiring his prize, Rick also had barn burners with Steamboat and Greg Valentine that made it feel like it was something worth fighting over. At times it even seemed like it was a bigger deal than the World Championship. That's borderline crazy. That's what Flair was able to do though. It was beautiful that he did. Number 3, Chris Jericho. For a long time, WWE's Intercontinental Championship was seen as the work rate belt, and for good reason. Most people that had it were the company's elite in-ring performers, and legends such as Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect proved this night in and night out. If you got your hands on it, it meant you were good. In the late 90s, however, this all changed. Becoming a prop more than anything else, it was involved in daft feuds where no one even talked about the IC title, with the focus being on anything but that. It was ludicrous, made worse when one day it was actually defended in a good housekeeping match. Great idea, team. Great great idea. Thankfully, when Chris Jericho finally won it in January 2000, he set his sights on making it mean something again. Although his reign was short at only 1 month, Y2J did everything he could to remind people what the belt meant. It didn't hurt he had awesome encounters with people like Kurt Angle, and it just sucks WWE went and screwed it up again years later. Number 2, Edge. As we mentioned at the start of this video, having 2 world championships is dumb. Firstly, what? And secondly, it's always going to mean one feels like a secondary world title, and for a long time in the WWE, this was the big gold belt. Although the World Heavyweight Championship, as it was known, did have its moments, for the most part this was your budget version of the biggest prize in the game and more likely to end up on people that WWE weren't 100% in on. It was used to test the waters and see if a certain performer had what it took. This changed when Edge won it in 2007, however. Using his whole presentation to make the belt his own, he went on to have feuds with The Undertaker where both men seemed willing to kill the other to take possession of the title, and it was awesome. It never really got to the same level as the WWE Championship, but it didn't really matter here. Edge did such a good job with it, at the very least, we could all buy into how much it meant. Number 1, CM Punk. With that said, even the WWE can't protect its main title from feeling less than great, and over the years, that's definitely been the case, especially in 2011. 2 poor runs by Alberto Del Rio and the belt being thrown around like a hot potato had made it feel weak, and there was basically no drama involved where it was concerned. And then CM Punk turned up. Winning the championship from Del Rio, Punk went on to have one of the most impressive reigns in years, putting so much effort into making the title feel incredibly relevant, holding on to it for an amazing 434 days, which is crazy in modern pro wrestling. Punk was the longest champ since Hulk Hogan in 1988, and just think of that. Managing to get through the likes of Mark Henry, Daniel Bryan, Chris Jericho and John Cena, his constant winning streak only helped this more, and before long he was without doubt the man of the year. By the end, the WWE title had become the main prize in the game again, and to have it was a huge honour, and that was all thanks to CM Punk. Know of any other wrestlers that saved championships? Let us know in the comments below, and then don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Then head on over to WhatCulture.com to read all the articles, and follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. I am Simon from What Culture, and I'll speak to you again soon.